Welcome back to the desk and welcome to the PCC, the Prime Championship Circuit. My name is Ardog with the Triple G and I'm here with Easy Ed and Wangle. We just finished watching Game 2 and we're taking you on this wild, incredible journey. Both of these teams are currently 1-1 in this best of 5 grand finals series. We are watching Dirty Lake and the boys versus Indecisive. One of the heroes we kind of want to talk about is definitely the Gwuks. Let's pull up some numbers. Ed, talk to us about this Gwuks.
I mean, we haven't seen Gwuks in many games here through this series, only 14. But I mean, when you see the win rates, it kind of speaks for itself. You know, ban rate of less than 5%, pick rate of about 12. But when he's in, he's winning. So Gwuks is obviously a staple piece of a lot of these winning team strategies, and I definitely plan to continue seeing him in here, especially on Morose, who's just, I mean, that's his prio pick. He's very confident in there, so we'll see if he keeps that streak going.
And a lot of these teams have been targeting Morose and taking that Gwuks away from him, but they let him just Gwuks all over them. But now it's time to dive into this draft. Wangle, what bans are you expecting to see? Because now we're 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, 1-1 series is basically reset. It's something that I think, you know, both, like, from a viewer perspective, this is what we like to see. The series is super close. I think from the side of Indecisive, I think we like how we drafted last time. We like what we banned. Very much different. A couple picks that we got off the table that seem to be very much prio or power picks for DLAB. The Sev specifically, the Kalari doesn't let the game become as weird as it can be. But I think the Sev was the big one. I think the Sev, even though if Lauber gets put behind, he can always scale. He can't always be a thing. It is his main. He is that guy. We're going to swap the sides real quick. It's going to be DLAB first pick. But I think that Sev ban was the big thing. The Kwong, once it was behind, it was not able to play. It wasn't able to really get into the game, to stabilize itself. And the Narb is getting banned. Something that I guess DLAB's like, we had a lot of success with it. You had a lot of success with it. It makes team fights weird. You can't poke people out. You can't get them off the board. So the Narb just flat out gone, out of the set. Then Zarus as well on the side of Indecisive. A little bit more questionable. It is a flex pick. DLAB do play it in both jungle and offlane, and the Gideon first pick for DLAB.
Yeah, I like the Narbash ban there because basically it's saying, hey, neither of us can beat this guy, so let's just get rid of him. Gentleman's agreement, he's out. And now the Gideon, the Argus, and the Rampage being picked up here. DLAB basically saying, this Gideon here, he's been tough for us, so we're going to take him on our side. I love Appy on Gideon. That's definitely one of his stronger picks. Rampage and Argus, though, I mean, there's a lot of long-range engagement through there, so we'll see what DLAB has to say for Indecisive's picks on that. But the Kalari pickup again here, North is saying, hey, guys, I need to put you guys on my back, apparently, so give me who I do best with, and that's Kalari. So the Sevarog pick, I love that again. You know, just letting Sevarog scale up as much as he can back into that Gwuks. More Gwuks, more fun, apparently. But yeah, these are some beefy teams so far with a lot of damage, burst damage, sustainability. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, we obviously have these tankier teams. Bellica ban coming out for DLAB. They don't want to let them have the CC chain, the Rampage Rock into the Argus ball, into the Bellica. The Bellica and Argus can be double flexed for better matchups. I would maybe expect to see the Argus go support here for the side of Indecisive. Phase ban coming out. They don't want this DLAB duo lane to be able to play safe. And DLAB needing to lock in their duo lane. Indecisive, you know, mid or support plus an ADC. So we'll see what gets picked up here. Maybe we'll see another Murdoch. Maybe no Drongo for the third game. As I say that,
there's the Drongo.
Drongo instantly in. Very much a good pick to burst down the Sevarog, I think.
Yeah, I mean, basically what's going on here is they're getting rid of a lot of the support heroes through there. So they're trying to force Indecisive and DLAB each other into picking something that maybe they're not that confident in. I love the Decker pickup here. That's my favorite hero in the game. The Argus, we may see him in mid lane or we may see him as support as a counter to that Decker because, Morigesh is still on. We know that Shin loves to play the Mori. We've seen it before. I mean, maybe we'll even see a Gadget. Who knows? I love Gadget. I wish she would buffer. I mean, give my girl some love a little bit, but we'll see what Indecisive takes for their last pick here. I definitely think that I know. Never mind, I will stop talking. So there's the Morigesh. I was thinking it was going to be a Muriel, but Argus support to counter the Decker, and that is going to be a lot of battling, poking back and forth in that dual lane. And it sucks that there's no Narbash to help with that sustainability, but this is going to be a bloodbath over on the dual lane.
This is the draft for game number 3, everybody. Wangle, I know you're looking at that Morigesh. We're all looking at her. What do you have to say about this matchup? You've got the Gideon versus the Morigesh yet again.
The Gideon obviously will have a bit of prio early. It's the nature of Gideon. He has prio over basically everyone in the game. But if the Morigesh is able to weather the storm, dodge some rocks in lane, not get bursted out of nowhere, she will be able to play, and it's much better with the Narbash being gone. That is the big thing. Mori likes to play for poke. She likes to jump around the corner, hit her bomb, hit her mark, and walk away. And then she can sit back. Without the Narbash, it'll be much harder for DLAB to play around this Morigesh pick, and I would like to, and she has a lot more frontline to sit behind.
But on the other side, Ed, we're looking at this DLAB comp. What are you seeing in terms of teamfight engagement?
I'm seeing Kalari is smiling a little bit here. Even though it is a Kalari into a rampage, we saw what happened on game 1. Norf's the man, dude. So Norf is going to be able to go in there, wreak his havoc right away. I mean, with the Gideon and the Kalari, all Gideon has to do is press R, and that Morigesh is dead if the Kalari's there. So there's going to be a lot of outplay potential for the Kalari to just make his moves, and this is going to be good. I think Norf is going to have a very strong game here. I'm calling it right now. Norf is going to go 8-3 in this game. That's what I'm feeling.
He's putting it out there and he's manifesting it. This is Dirty Lake and the Boys versus Indecisive. Get your predictions in, everybody. This is game number 3 of this best of 5 in the grand finals. We're tossing it over to Ego and F6.
Gamers of the PCC, I cannot put it any better myself, R-Dog, right on the nose. We're in game 3 of the grand finals in the casting booth. It's your boy Ego here, rocking out but never rocking alone. Alongside, we got F6, the man, the myth, the legend. Are you excited to get into this game?
Man, I'm super excited, man. This series has just been one constant battle after the other. Indecisive, DLAB, both playing their hearts out, fighting for this championship, and I think we're going to get another great game here today.
I think, personal take, this may be the game where Mori gets to show a little bit of her prowess. There's no healers included in this game. We saw both of them getting banned out. That FaZe and Narbash going to be taking a seat onto the bench here. And with this Morigesh, if she's able to scale like we've talked about before, they could wreak havoc onto the backline.
A little bit less dangerous for her. Still have the Kalari to worry about, but with the Gideon, not as much CC as the Argus, so they're going to be able to play a little bit more into this. We do see that they're going to be having a lot of comfort picks on actually both sides of these teams. We see that Lauber got his Sev back. We look over at Import, able to get his Rampage, and this is going to be a spicy one.
Yeah, and outside of drafts, I do think there's something to be said about the elevation of this now being a 1-1. You basically got a new set. This is something that these players have done time and time again. We just need to win a set. We have a little bit of wiggle room for 1 loss, but 2 means we give up the championship, we give up the trophy, we give up the title, the bragging rights to say that we are the best. I definitely do anticipate Indecisive are going to be sticking to what they do best. We're going to take neutrals, we're going to take your life, and we're going to take a win. While onto the other side, DLAB, I have a feeling we may see them get a little bit crazy and a little bit active within this game 3.
They're going to want to get active. They're going to need to be playing their own game. We saw them in the Professor's matchup. They were able to play their own game. And if they're able to do that again, what you're going to see is Indecisive having to try and play DLAB's game. And when they're forced to do that, DLAB is just able to capitalize on everything. Once they get to a little bit parts of that mid to late part of the game, bringing Lobber into these team fights and then being able to have Lakenator in the back, just be able to free casting is what they want. And the fact that they're able to get this Sev is a huge impact on that. But they do still have to worry about that Rampage. We talked about the Behemoth. There's a reason he's the king of the jungle. Able to leap onto that back line, stopping Lakenator from doing what he wants, and having to get everybody to retreat to try and peel for the president is really going to be a factor on the side of Indecisive.
Feeling for the president, and the president is Lakenator, elected back to back because we know that he can do some executive level damage if he is able to be safe. And even when he's not, we've seen this guy maneuver in some pretty outlandish ways in order to lock down a kill or guarantee space for an objective. That being said, I'm a steal one from the boy TJ DJ. We can talk about it all we want, but the result is determined on the battlefield. F6.
Yes, it is indeed. Game number 3. Chat, everybody viewing right now, let's get some hype because these guys are giving us a series. As we do look on over, nice little safe start. None of these teams want to get out to be aggressive.
Man, and I anticipate that whoever is aggressive first is going to have to do it to perfection. Within that first game, we saw DLAB making a couple earlier rotations that seemed to be going there for a moment, but with just a little bit of HP left, they were able to get a disengage, and then capitalizing on it was Indecisive. Hey, you guys look a little bit low. How about I finish the job? And after that, it was a story that we've told on this cast time and time again. We're going to rotate to a neutral. We're going to take it. We're going to reset. We're going to farm, and we're going to rinse, wash, repeat, win.
I mean, one big key thing here we haven't pointed out to you yet is the fact that Narbash is not in this game. It's been a winning factor for DLAB in game 1. It was a winning factor for Indecisive in game number 2. And the fact that he's not in this match speaks volumes. And it's going to change a little bit on how these team fights go.
I mean, it feels like both of these teams have just understood and made the executive decision that the Ogre is too dangerous to be left alive. Having the opportunity to maybe whiff on a team fight, completely cause a disengage for it, and then on the back end be able to heal your team back up to full, even if you did fail, just feels way too good within a lot of these situations. So they're just going to completely remove him from the equation.
I mean, I wouldn't you, right? It's kind of one of those things that, hey, we both don't like it, let's just get rid of it. And I think this is going to make for an even better game number 3. These fights are going to have to be spot on. Nobody can slip up. They can't rely on that safe healing.
And Mancu relying a little bit on his damage and not even his carry here, as he's going to be looking to bully out Lakenator, and they're going to force them into the midsection of that tier 1.
Very pressure coming out from that dual lane. I think there's a lot of trades you're going to see. With that Argus support, it's just like a Decker with a little bit more damage. But they do have that containment fence, though, on the side of Dirty Lake and the boys. We know Toasty likes his Decker. And if he's able to land those stasis balls, being able to contain those people in that containment fence, especially when a gank comes their way, that's going to be a huge difference.
Decker is the difference maker, man. The containment fits, the CC, even the maneuverability that is going to be built into the kit. If Toasty is able to capitalize on the natural features that this character has, I have no doubt in my mind some of the abilities that do get hit or the space that gets created could be a determining factor in who wins, as Appy Picker is going to be risking his life just a little bit for the river buff. It is going to be a boulder offline, but a teleport underneath the tier 1 is going to give him the space he needs to be able to survive and give him the option to reset. Now we're going to see North here playing the space along that fog gate, as Import is going to be able to get a drag onto those jungle minions. A little bit of an innovate here early, and without the backup of his mid laner, it does look like Import's just going to be able to seize this advantage for relatively free, despite North definitely not wanting to give it to him. Are going to be able to take a look at Lobber underneath the tower. Just going to be able to farm himself up relatively easily. North playing the space over into that dual lane. It's going to be Lauber on the engage, but following up on the back end, it's going to be the Kalari, as we're going to see Morose being forced to utilize the ult just to be able to create a little bit of space for himself. It is going to be the lead coming out of Import, as he is going to nearly be killed within the fight, just below that 50% threshold. The threat of death is very real, as Appy Picker is going to run into Shin on the rotation back to safety. Now, as we do see Lakeinator probably going to be looking to just play the space within that duo to give him the highest amount of value possible. And that's going to be him taking the CS while taking his time and staying safe. We can see that duo lane now making a rotation back is going to be missing out on some pretty crucial XP and gold, especially within the early days of this game. Now, Lauber making his way back into the lane is feeling a lot better than he has previously, as he has caught a little bit of pressure, but it hasn't quite been exemplified at this point. Now, being able to push the wave under tower, more than likely Morose is going to be able to capitalize on getting some of the gold, but definitely not all of it. All of these lanes, soft resetting, being able to pick up a bit of gold and XP, as well as just generally playing it safe and slower here within the early days of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that come out, right? You're just going to have to be able to play through it. But with these both teams just being able to do that, especially the first Fangtooth now available, there's going to have to be some decisions made.
Man, and these decisions, I mean, we're gonna make the joke as many times as it presents itself. They have to be decisive. Both of these teams understanding that it's basically a 2 out of 3 set, and both of them have won a lot of the ones they've been put in the face of Lauber only recently, seeing what that defeat screen looks like.
They've seen it. They both seen it, so they're going to have to make the play. But Import, once again, with that pressure,
is going to be able to get the boulder off, as Toasty nearly gets toasted, but it's going to be able to utilize the blink in order to save himself. Nonetheless, that is going to be a lot more vulnerability inherent to that lane, especially for him for the next 3 or so minutes, as now Import is going to get ambushed, but quickly is going to find a disengage in order to get out from underneath the pressure Toasty and North provide.
and just one after another, the pressure around the entire map. Still Souls, hello, able to blink, but Import try to follow is not going to be able to get anything.
Yeah, man, the kill potential definitely there, but not able to be capitalized on, as now Import also very low. It's probably going to just be looking for a disengage. Popping it over to you, F6. We're going to do what we normally do, a little bit of a routine we have, and I'm going to get inside your mental space and ask you, overall, what are you thinking about these compositions?
I think Indecisive just has that aggression. It's a little bit sketchy on the Morigesh, even though we know the damage that she's able to do. But within that first game one, we saw that it wasn't a good thing, especially whenever Lauber was able to stick on her. And with the Kalari there, able to burst him down. But on the side of DLAB though, they don't have that Narbash which won them that game. So it's kind of one of those things where it comes down to skill and to be able to make the right timings for both of these teams.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're looking for skilled player within the PCC, is going to be exactly the place you're going to find him, as North is going to be able to find a rotation. The Subjugate coming up big, as Morose is going to be looking to utilize the Burst Flower, and he will, which will be able to create some solid space for him. But off the back end of the blink, it's going to be North looking to give Morose the inevitability that is the cold, gripping hands of death. It is going to be North who puts his team on the board.
First blood is secured on the side of Dirty Lake and the boys. It only took 8 minutes, but they're finally able to get it, and that might be the pressure they needed to send a message to Indecisive.
And I'm sure that they received it loud and clear. Both of these teams came here to play, but North, as per the usual, came here to fight. Called them in a chimney because he doesn't know anything but the smoke. And if they're able to capitalize on the little leads that Kalari can build on, I'm sure that he's going to be a force to deal with in this game.
Oh, 100%. We talk about how Kalari's an assassin hero. They like to get the early game kills to skyrocket themselves towards the end game quicker than the enemy team. And if she's allowed to do that, they're not going to be able to really stop her. And they're going to have to wait for later parts of the game to maybe scale up. But by then, it's going to be too late.
a little bit of caster info. Me, I prefer the mid lane. I like to be ganked a lot. I like playing Morgish. I like playing Argus. I don't like seeing fed Kalari. So if he's able to get, 1, 2 more kills or help his team even lock down a Fangtooth, that gold, those items and that damage are all not going to grow slowly but exponentially, as we're going to see the boulder coming out and not finding Purchase on the north, who's going to be able to help his team lock down some gold within his jungle while it's Indecisive locking down the Fangtooth. Now surrounding it is going to be ManQ as well as Import and Neft, all but guaranteed to be able to lock this down. And Indecisive are going to decisively do what they are known to do, and that's going to start the neutral objective train, now making a rotation over. It is going to be a good stun coming out of ManQ onto the Argus, but that goes to the tier 1. The kill potential is not really going to be that high. Yet, this is going to be something DLAB has to focus on to prevent what happened last game from happening again.
Yeah, they're going to have to focus on it, but here they're looking for that potential, but Import has something else to say.
He is going to absolutely be able to bang out here with the CC his team has, and having this team being so divided almost feels guaranteed that Toasty goes down. The only question was who would get it, and it is answered quickly as Neft picks up the kill and evens up the kill board 1-1.
That opens up the mini prime for the side of DLAB because the jungler is on the opposite side of the map. And now this is an objective that can look to tie it 1-1.
Yeah, man, a little bit of a mini prime for Fangtooth action. However, Shin has something to say about that, as he's going to be making an engage to immediately be proposed off the back end. It is still going to be DLAB who are going to be able to lock it down, but with the ulti coming out of the Mortgage, North is going to be dropped relatively low, but not low enough to register as a kill, as Lauber is going to be able to invade the jungle and get a little bit of info.
Just absolutely so close there. He had to use the guillotine and get away, so that resource is down for a little bit. Gonna allow for a little bit less pressure towards these side lanes or even the mid, so Morgish doesn't have to worry too much. But with the mini prime taken there, Kalari's gonna have the advantage to help any lane that she gets to gank.
Man, a kill on top of now the mini prime buff. This is exactly what North has been looking for. He's going to be freed up to play as aggressively as he wants to, or be able to play for the punish angle off of maybe the enemy team in Indecisive, looking for an objective they can't quite afford yet. F6.
No, they cannot. They cannot afford that to happen. When you look at the side of Indecisive, they're still there. They still have this game really close. And both of these teams are going to be looking to capitalize on it. If Rampage could successfully get one of these ganks off in the mid to help that Mortgage pressure, this might be changing a little bit on the tides.
Yeah, and being able to alleviate that Mortgage pressure has to be something that DLAB is focused on, despite the fact that we haven't seen this character produce the greatest stats, let's be honest. In between 5 games, I think now this one making it 6 on a 20% win rate. Not the most intimidating stat block at all, but what is intimidating is North with the lead, making the rotation on to Morose, who is still going to be looking for more. Grux is going to want to do Grux thing, but Kalari is going to want and will put him down alongside Lauber, who gets the kill.
Just a little bit too pushed up there in that off lane, and Kalari with a great rotation, but Import trying to answer back.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for Toasty, and he's going to be relatively easy to find. That burst fog getting utilized. He's now literally between a rock and a hard place, and one of them does damages. Import exports Toasty's soul out of his body.
Great pickup on the side of Indecisive, but they leave that off lane wide open, and that is where the mini prime buff is going to be an advantage, as the first T1 is going to go down.
Yeah, man, and everything is looking up right now for North in particular. Seems like anywhere he goes, there's fruition to be had. Being able to pick up a couple kills and assist the tower and objective. Now, if he's able to maybe take some of that pressure and some of that lead over into the mid or dual, and I'm sure he'll be able to find results there. However, Indecisive, very aware of that lead he has and are playing accordingly. Neft taking his time on the wave, as now ManQ and Sheen are going to make a rotation. But with Lakenator so close to the tier 1, the kill-like ability is not going to be so high.
Not at all, but Appy Picker lurking over on this side, taking a peek. Import is here to try and answer back. Do have a little bit more time on this Fangtooth. but they just tried a little bit too much there. Great job on Lakeinator, able to use that dash to put himself in a better position. But if that CC would have hit, I think it would have been over for him.
Oh man, and that's always a question to the tail, right? If that CZ hits, I think we get a team name for that. What if that stun landed through? And a lot of the time you can draw your own conclusions to it, and even more of the time the conclusion is evident for us and the viewers to see. That could have potentially been a kill.
Now, with that Fangtooth up in any moment now, what are these teams going to do? They have to look for a pick potential, of course, but if they're able to just get this vision control, able to get that control of the pit, they might just be able to go straight at it, especially with North just being able to do so much damage.
And now Appy Picker is going to be doing some damage to Shin, who uses their epoch, so now they're going to be relatively vulnerable. Looking to get a solid damage translation. They will be able to weather the storm coming from the Cosmos in the Gideon, as they're both going to be able to play the space farther back behind the tier 1 without falling. A lot of tools being used here, but no kills to be had nearly 15 minutes into the game.
They were almost able to pick it up. The epoch there was a very subjective, I would say, mistake, because you just put yourself in such a vulnerable position so early on. They almost were able to capitalize on it, but they were able to escape. But that meantime, in the off lane, Morose was able to get some XP. A lot of resources, like you said, have been expended, but the Fangtooth is now finally up, and they don't have it.
You know, man, I like me a little bit of the FTF. A Fangtooth fight, as the first ones to go in on it are going to be DLAB, looking maybe to put a Fangtooth on the board in their favor, but Import and Ink are going to have something to say about that, as Toasty is going to catch a stun coming out of the boulder. It's going to be a 50-50, but it is going to go in favor of the blue side team in DLAB, despite the engagement coming out of Import, Shin, and ManQ.
Oh man, that was as close as you can possibly get for it's a smite for smite battle, but they were able to come out on top there. Now, with that, they even out the Fangtooths, and this is still now just such a close game, and any move could be a dire move.
Dude, you're playing the game on the edge of a knife here. That may be going in favor of Indecisive completely doesn't reset on the tempo of this game, and how Indecisive may be looking and taking engagements if they do go 2 Fangtooths up. That felt like a necessary risk, and an even better pick for DLAB, being able to play a solid defense, which gives them a pretty free Fangtooth to be able to even it up 2-2 and 1-1 on the Fangtooths.
It's a great execution. These two teams just trying to make our days to here today, and they're just doing a fantastic job. I just want to really highlight, though, we haven't seen the aggression come out successfully. A lot of these fights have just been going 1-1 or just a safe retreat. But here, looking at the mini prime, look at this conversion.
Oh man, it is going to be Lopper who is going to take some abilities, but in all honesty, not that much damage. However, his teammates may have something to say about it, as Toasty and North are going to play the space onto the back end, looking for this team fight. Morose is going to be split up from the rest of this team, looking for an engagement from the left side. It'll be Neft and Shin, as well as Import at this point, possibly looking to bang out onto this fight. But as for the time being, it looks like they're just going to be playing the space.
They're going to have to play that space, but you see Lobber there waiting for anybody to step up, anybody to get caught out, a stasis ball to hit, and both teams are trying to fight for this mini or prime. But with DLAB now taking control over it, they're starting it and looking to be getting it this after it.
They have the superior positioning, and now they have themselves a mini prime going on to North, who's going to be able to cloak himself in that invincibility and possibly go on the hunt, the prowl, if you will, for a pick. But very aware it's going to be Indecisive. We're going to get underneath our tier 1, so if you want to come in, we got an extra teammate with the turret backing us up.
They were able to pick that up, and they're able to skyrocket their lead just a little bit. We know how important these neutral objectives are, and now they're going to be able to push out this T1 and most likely be able to get it to open up this map.
Opening up the mid lane is such a large factor in being able to find rotations, invade into the jungle, and overall losing any tower is going to reduce a percentage of the safety your team is going to have when making rotations to these neutral objectives. And the first one to strike is going to be DLAB as they open up the map on Indecisive.
I just want to point out once again, yes, you are 100% correct. Once this mid lane goes down, they invade into the jungle, into that 2 camp, into that 4 camp. It's going to be 10 times easier for whoever is on the other end. And now that they have done that, they're going to be looking to get a little bit aggressive, but they still need to play their game. they still need to pick their fights. And right now, they need to play around North and they need to play around Lauber because that is their win con.
They have been so good throughout this portion of the game as Moreau sees them and literally has to turn and run. Taking the buff, though, on his way. It is going to be a reset into that lane for him as we see Import doing a lot more wandering than we did last game, except not finding as many picks, really, on either side of the jungle.
He's just not able to find his opportunities. He's able to be there wandering around, but there's just nothing ever popping up for him. And that is the rough part about it. With the Kalari, you're just able to burst somebody down so quick that you're able just to use your entire kit and be good to go. But here, Appy Picker looking like he's trying to catch Shin out.
Yeah, we're going to see the guillotine get used here as now the Epoch is going to be able to come out and Shin is going to go down. Nonetheless, onto the backside is going to be the Behemoth now being used for the Rampage as what is most certainly going to be Death's Door that North finds himself at the face at. We see a 1-for-1 trade within the mid.
A lot of it down. The block hole just unfortunately able to hit, but here comes that return damage on top of Moreau's. Able to poke him out to send a message like, hey, we are still here to back on up. Meanwhile, over in this dual lane, looks like Legionator is throwing those bullets towards Neft.
Yeah, man, putting that HP low and possibly, if you would have liked to push up, putting that tower even lower. Nonetheless, those grenades are going to be a handy poke-out tool while being able to be relatively safe for himself. Toasty definitely knows that he's on vision as Neft is going to be backing himself up towards the tier 2. A boulder goes out and lands on to Toasty, but are we going to see any value out of it? And the answer looks like no.
Nothing to be able to come out there. The gap was just too big for them to close. But third Fang Tooth is on the board. This is that Fang Tooth. Which team's going to have control? And it looks like Dirty Lake and the boys. But Indecisive, they have to answer here. They can't just allow this to go for free.
These objectives play such a pivotal part in being able to seize the momentum and control of the team fight as Lauber is going to be caught out and unable to reach the portal. He is forced to use his blink. I know the man is made of shadows, but I could have swore I saw the light leave his eyes.
Oh man, he just blinked. He's like, oh no, the portal, guys, you left me behind. But good thing he had that blink up. Man, they're able to secure that second Fang Tooth. A huge play to play for that later game. Might possibly able to get that third Fang Tooth later on with the Primordial. But man, with that blink down, Lauber is going to be in a little bit of trouble.
The North with the guillotine is going to be absolutely chunked. Man, Q and F now forcing the blink out. It's going to be a boulder that he gets in return as he is going to be returned to base. That is going to be the kill advantage now sliding in favor of Indecisive.
Man, North was definitely confident there. He looked towards that kill. He's like, hey, they just tried to retreat. I should be able to get this kill. He just did not have enough burst there, and they capitalized it with that big boulder, stun lock him into place, and they just cleaned it up perfectly on the side of Indecisive.
This is what they're going to be looking for. Yeah, they don't have the objective advantage, but if they're able to replicate what they did there, letting DLAB find their own engages and then capitalizing on their missed positioning or mistakes. Kalari and North had no ally within an arm or 3 or 7's reach there, and they just landed a timely CC and picked up what DLAB left them. This is the song of the tale for Indecisive. We will take what you give us, and then we'll take the win if you don't clean it up.
They're looking for something indeed. And I mean, it's still close, right? This is nothing to be like, hey, this is one side or the other. Moroso needs to be a little bit careful on the retreat. Not a lot of kill potential. Uses the blink, though, because he does not want to get caught out.
He most definitely felt the kill potential there as that subjugate came down, and Grux decided it was time for him to head out.
Heavily hitting discouraged. He was like, hey, this is not my neighborhood. We do not want to be here. With that being said, though, we are within the 23-minute mark. We're heading towards the later parts of the game. Primordial Fang Tooth up next. Big Orb Prime is up. And everything is starting to be a little bit more important, and mistakes are not allowed to be made.
As the damage is going up, sure, the armor and the defense of both of these teams and their engages are as well, but let's be honest, a couple bullets here coming out of Legionator on this TP is going to do a lot to mitigate the items that these characters have put on. You can't, at 23 making our way to 24, 25 minutes into the game. Find yourself making near to any mistakes. We know the Indecisive will capitalize. We know that DLAB will run you over if you let them. And we know both of these teams are hungry for the championship and to strike first in basically what's a new set.
Yeah, and it's highlighting this build on Lakeinator. He's working himself towards that Demolisher. Once he gets that Demolisher online, that Rampage is not going to be a problem. He already has that Sky Splitter. He's going to be able to chunk. Appy Picker with that Mega Cosm's also going to be not good for the side of Import. So if they're able to stop that backline dive and then able to turn themselves back towards the fight, this might just be DLAB's game.
It could potentially be, but I know all the Indecisive fans have something to say about that. These guys have won from across the pond, taken multiple Fang booths, and now they're looking to make their way on to American shores. The PCC, possibly the next victimized. Morose is getting victimized, but the Grab Grenade is going to be timely in combination with the ulties coming out of not one but two members, making a 1-0 trade that go in favor of Indecisive.
The trap card was activated. Morose, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but able to go around the corner right there, using his call to Warlord's Cry to stop Lauber from just totally stopping from doing what he wants to do. And they're able to capitalize with that smash and grab and put him out of position. They were not close enough on the side of DLAB to stop that. And now that's a huge pickup and another 20 seconds for Indecisive to make a move.
Imagine getting concussed from the Grux ulti just to immediately be put into the gas grenade. At that point, you might as well take your hands off the keyboard, because Severo, you got a lot of stacks, you got a lot of HP, you got a lot of defense. What you don't have is a lot of time when you're in a narrow alley with some damage dealers looking to extend that kill lead. I'm sure that is a mistake that we will not see duplicated coming out of DLAB.
We can't have that happen. We talk time and time again about how important Lauber is on his Sevarog to this team and their game plan. So he needs to be a little bit closer to his team, not go a little bit more on those chases that we just witnessed. And if they were to stick close, I think they should be fine. But Indecisive really want this win, and they're making these right calls.
As this game progresses, I mean, Lauber's just going to become something more like an aged wine. He only gets better as this game evolves. With him sticking in close proximity to North, we know that they're going to be able to get a lot of value out. Hey, it's the cloak and the dagger. Look at the Sevarog and get stabbed by the Kalari. If they can replicate that with the backup coming out of the deck or out of the Twin Blast, and even more specifically, the high caliber players they have in their roster, I mean, it feels like a recipe for success, but they have to execute.
They have to execute indeed, but there's a lot of vision control right now. That's why you're seeing both of these teams just kind of playing back, looking for the engagement, but they might have it on Toasty.
He's oh so very low until he gets finished off by Neft, who's not going to leave any HP left as the sun is going to go out, though, for Argus. It will not find a purchase onto Lakeinator or Lauber, who are going to be playing this space a little bit further apart within the mid lane. Lauber now viewing himself over onto the right, while North on the Kalar, we know, can set up some very significant damage on the opposing side. Be aware, though, is going to be Indecisive, as, to me, at least F6, it looks like they're looking for a disengage.
They're looking for their time to fully commit to a fight. They know the Kalari is somewhere. They don't want to make the mistake on fully engaging on the team without knowing where the Kalari's position is. They do have wards up, but not enough to stop it. So I think that's a smart decision on them. You see Morose putting himself over into this off lane, trying to get some more XP. He got that T1 tower. It's a little bit more goal towards Indecisive. Now they can take a step back. They can look to get a little bit more buffed up and get some items to look back at these big neutral objectives.
You feel it rising? The tension, the pressure, both of these teams playing so carefully and capitalizing so immediately on whatever the other team supplies them with. Both of them know the stakes. Both of them want it so bad. The only question is who succumbs and who is the first to be progressive and who is going to be able to capitalize off of a reaction, as we are going to see DLAB make a play for the Prime here, and they are absolutely burning through at F6.
Yes, they are, but it looks like they dropped it to turn to fight.
It is going to be a big black hole now over the top end, but the HP for the DLAB is dropping also very low, and no one has yet seemed to fall for the kill, as Kalari will be the first one to go down with Neft knocking them down. A boulder is going to be thrown out, but it's not going to find purchase as the shield onto Lakenator may be just enough to save his life, but it will not save the Prime if they decide to go for it. Instead, it's going to be a pick, and now a reset onto this tier 1.
They take a tier 1 down there. I'm trying to question why Dirty League and the boys just straight went for that Orb Prime. They know they took a reset, but it does not take them that long. They don't have it just yet to burn it down as quickly as they think they do, and that's when Indecisive is able to capitalize on it. They should have not have pulled that objective so quick, and when they tried to pull off, it was just not enough, and they were able to turn that fight back. Neft with a huge damage on that Drongo.
Yeah, man, the gas grenade is something that we've seen time and time again just win fights, as now it looks like Indecisive is going to be playing for the big Prime with the superior positioning. They have the boulder is going to go up, but also will go offline as they do get a pull and possibly a reset onto the neutral objective. The ult does come out of the beginning, but it's not going to be able to find purchase on anyone, at least yet. A disengage does seem like it is a very plausible option, but that does mean DLAB is going to get positioning for this neutral.
They do have position for it, but there's still 5 members up and still around. They're not going to let this go for free, Ego.
They're going to get it engaged, but it is going to be DLAB who's going to be able to get the Prime import now. He's going to be able to use the Behemoth in order to absorb a fair amount of damage, but he is going to be dropped below the 50% threshold as Morose is going to be able to help drop Lobber down to 0. It is going to be the Reaper of Death at his own front door. Fling the space over to the side is going to be Lakenator, though, looking to capitalize, and it'll be North who's going to be the one to pick up the kill. Morose is now looking for Toasty, and his team is getting toasted onto the back end. We're looking at a 3-for-2 trade, and we're looking at an oh-so-low Happy Picker getting picked off. The HP bars are falling. The last one remaining is going to be Kalari for DLAB.
The Epoch there for the save. No, they did not get the big Orb Prime, but they were able to clean up one by one. We see Gruxing. He's able to finish those kills out. Great bait coming out of the Morgesh there. And I mean, it is still a win for Indecisive to be able to take that off. Yes, they lose the gold, but they're still in this game.
Ripping the objective off, but then taking advantage. We talked about it just moments before. It's almost like these gamers are listening in on the cast. Which team is going to be progressive and which team is going to be able to react appropriately. There's a risk coming both ways, and we saw it get executed on both sides of that team fight F6.
Yes, we did indeed. And with North still the only one with that Orb Prime, they do have a little bit of an advantage being able to possibly push out a T2. But when it comes to really having a lot of pressure, they don't have it anymore. But with this Primordial Fangtooth, this is another fight that both of these teams are looking to take. And if they are not grouped up, it's not going to be looking good for which one's not there.
Morose, as per usual, is going to be looking for more as Kalari takes a little bit of a peek before jumping out of what would have been a difficult situation. Happy Picker and Toasty rounding around the corner has some solid space control on their kit, but with Morose getting the engage, this is going to be an easy pickup. But now over the top end, Happy Picker being able to land a solid 2-man-0, and with the damage following up, it's going to be a death onto Neft, who is going to be left at the base, at least for the time being, as Happy Picker is going on a little bit of a rampage now, locking down Manq on the Argus. We're looking at a 1-2 trade here as the Fangtooth, the Primordial Blaze, is still going to be taken by Indecisive.
But that combustion proc hit, and that is going to be it for Lakenator. And they absolutely win that just with the Primordial Blaze and with that pressure to even trade with the advantage going over towards Indecisive.
This advantage is something that you cannot let them have if you're DLAB. We're going to be starting the march, though, as more than likely some towers are going to be falling at the very least this tier 2, as we see Happy Picker helping his team set up a soft defense.
They're looking for engage, so Lauber wants to get a pick here. He's going to have to be careful. They are both healthy, but with the damage in the Primordial Blaze, they don't want to get caught out.
Yeah, especially by a boulder, as import off the back end is going to throw it out. Not to engage, though, just to guarantee a little bit of a reset for his team and be able to take the time to capitalize on the buff that some of them can maintain.
Man, Indecisive in a tiny little lead here. We see Morose. We talked about him before, how well he's able to farm and able to keep himself ahead of his opposing laner. He is 2 levels ahead of the Sev. Yes, the Sev just needs to be a big body, but the amount of damage coming out of Morose right now is unreal. And looking across the board, Indecisive right now are just barely winning these fights. But with this Primordial Fangtooth Blaze, that might just be the little bit they need to really close out this game.
I love games like this, man, when you can say a team is barely winning the fight. It's relatively even on both sides, as we do have a 2-2 ultimately on the Fangtooths and the kill lead being in favor of Indecisive. This is anyone's game to win, and whichever one of them do, they know that they are going to be playing in a position where they are just one game away from bringing home the gold in PCC7.
Everybody wants that prize. Everyone wants to be crowned king. But it comes down to these battlefield, it comes down to these games, and coming down to making the right decisions. And just every single time it happens, it's just so close. Like I said, the advantage, the lanes are pushed up. There's no big neutral objectives to be taken right now. So both these teams are going to be looking to find their opportunities. Nobody wants to get caught out. Nobody wants to be the person that makes that mistake to allow the advantage to go for the other team.
And I don't think any of them really will at this point of the game when everyone's going to be playing as a team. Yeah, picks are definitely plausible, but you're looking for those 5v5 engagements. We're playing around Fangtooth, we're playing around Prime, and we're playing around Invades for the most part. So this is going to be partially individual mechanics, but also team cohesion and synergy, something we know that both of these rosters have in bulk. And I'm just wondering, I'm curious, and I'm hoping to see which team is going to be able to ultimately pull it out on the next big team fight.
That next big team fight is definitely coming out whenever that big Prime or Primordial Fangtooth is up. They're going to be looking to play against these objectives. We talk time and time again how both of these teams like to play around objectives. You're not going to see them make a mistake before it. They're going to look for these possible picks like you're seeing right now, but they're not going to full commit unless they are 100% sure. It's going to come down to either Lobber being able to get a good Colossal Blow or Import able to dive that block line, get a nice rock off, or get a nice pick.
Yeah, and the pick potential is really solid for Indecisive. Like you said, you got the Subjugate, you got a Grux pull in, but Grux generally is going to do Grux things the best when he's involved in those big 4v4 or 5v5 team fights. But as you said, a well-placed boulder just coming out of the rampage could give your team the time they need to position to basically be able to lock down a kill. But DLAB, very much so, playing together, also has some tools to be able to make it more difficult with Gideon. You're playing the verticality game. That teleport is open not only to him but his team, as Lobber is going to be opened up for the pick. However, above that 50% threshold, he's going to be able to get out, and the behemoth being propped onto Import is going to give him some of the region he needs to be able to get out from the onslaught of damage that Lakeinator's pumping out.
And that is a big resource down, especially when it comes to contesting that big War Prime. It is now up. They're going to be looking for that pick. They almost were able to get it on Lobber there for the side of Indecisive. But smart play on them to understand they don't want to play that fog wall fight. They don't have the advantage in it. And now that Stasis Ball.
Oh man, into the Subjugate as well. It's going to be an immediate epoch, not because they want to, but because they have to. And it is not going to matter all too much, as Naftu is going to leave nothing left of Happy Picker. Eradicated, eviscerated, reduced to 0 like a fraction. Toasty now also being able to get a kill onto the Argus. This is going to be a 1-for-2 trade with the Gideon going down, and now a play for the Primordial Blaze.
Great initiation there. We were waiting for someone to get that mark. Lobber was that person. Happy Picker went down, but it was a huge pickup with that black hole. The damage he was able to do in that team fight caused them to win it. And now they're going to be able to use that pressure. They only lost one. Primordial Fangtooth secured. Or Prime has not been taken yet. And with this rotation, DLAB is definitely in the lead.
DLAB has seized the momentum. They have the reins. They are in the driver's seat. But Indecisive definitely not out of it yet. This is an oh-so very capable team. And the last time I counted them out, I mean, they counted their way up on the structures. A T1, a Tier 2, and ultimately the win in the game. I'm excited to see what this team is doing or able to do now that they're going to have to play from behind at least a little bit.
They're going to go after this Orb Prime. But with that Primordial Blaze, they're not going to let it go for free as they look to make sure they get that buff.
Yeah, and it is going to be a play for it, as DLAB are going to be double buffed up, making a play for Morose. Feels like he is most definitely going to be a casualty for war, and Neff is going to be looking for the pacifist route. However, he's going to find the brunt end of the colossal hammer as Lakeinator picks up one of the kills.
Oh man, the pick off there. They know they had the primordial blaze. They saw them go to that pit and they stopped their back. They went full commit and they're like, hey, we have to fight this. And they pick up that 50-50 on that Ore Prime. And now with the double buff, these inhibitors are looking threatened. And now DLAB is marching forward.
They are making a march all the way up the stairs, approaching the core, as it's going to be Lobber, Lakeinator, Toasty, and Happy Picker who are going to be able to surround the only thing that matters. The only one who has something to say about it is going to be Shin, but that's only for a moment, as the black hole is going to come out with the combination of damage that is going to be laid at the core. It's 5 down, and it's 1 game up in favor of DLAB.
Dirty Lake and the boys come out on top for game number 3. They are making this interesting. They are making it worth to watch. And what an execution. A little bit of a slow start, but that momentum build up into something huge. And DLAB right now are looking fantastic.
Indecisive was looking for a little bit of momentum there, being able to make a play onto the prime. They thought it was safer. They thought it was safer than what it was, as DLAB marched their way in, got a stole, and got the lives. They're thieves of the night because they're taking everything, even if you think it's yours. This team just played so out of their mind, letting it be slow within the early to mid, but building up until they comfortably could bring home the win. It's 1 win away of 6 from the Cinderella story.
1 more win. Can DLAB do the Cinderella story? Or can Indecisive turn this around and try and get their first NA win over here?
Man, I'm curious, and I think someone may have an answer, or at least a couple bets, as we are going to be sending it off to the desk.
Thank you so much, Ego and F6. Welcome back to the desk, Predecessor gamers. We just watched Game 3 in this final best of 5 series. Indecisive and DLAB are the top 2 teams here at the Prime Championship Circuit. This is an epic showdown and the tension is absolutely high. Please show your support to your favorite teams. And speaking of support, we have the exclamation point support that will send you to our GoFundMe, where every contribution goes to the prize pool, as well as our PCC production. Drop us a follow, subscription, and find us on all the social medias. But let's get back to the game. Dirty Lake and the boys are now 2-1. They are able to secure game number 3 and able to secure double buffs to end that game. Ed, please help us break it down.
I mean, North did what North was going to do the whole time. He took control of that game. That was so fun to watch. Lobber did a great job of just staying alive in those fights as just their only real front line. And I mean, they kind of fell back a little bit there, but they just started rolling and they started clicking together, and it was awesome. I do want to give a huge shout out to that Gideon ult that Appy had mid. I mean, he almost got 2 minions in there, and that was nuts, and that was a little bit scary, but they really counted off of that, and that was a great game. I'm really happy that DLAB won that one.
And we showed and saw the chemistry and harmony from both of these teams. But Wangle, how did DLAB win game number 3, and how did it slip away from Indecisive?
This is the type of game that you want to see in the finals, like, you know, back and forth, tug and pull, like just super close game, gets very cagey towards the end. It's like as soon as somebody makes that one little mistake, and the other team is good enough to pounce on it, and that's what you saw there. Specifically, Toasty's Decker Ball onto Shin right there at the end just gave them the pick, allowed the free engage, and it was just margins. This is what you'd love to see in these kind of finals, and if this set gets any hotter, I might have to start taking off my shirt. It's getting a little warm in here.
The Battle of Glory is not yet over. Let's take a quick break, because up next is Game 4 in the Grand Finals, and we're currently 2-1 favoring DLAB versus Indecisive.